Honestly, a day doesn't go by when I don't open my phone and go to Google and I just get this barrage of advertisements and articles which are just so dystopian. A psychologist explains the new Gen Z trend of reverse catfishing. I mean, not even going into dating apps themselves. I don't know. I find them kind of dehumanizing. Like people are just these attributes, interchangeable kind of attributes that you're looking for, and whatever they can fit in this bio. Like, there's no acknowledgement of the complexity of a person. There's no, like, a real relationship is not like something that you could put on a spreadsheet. It's not something that you can turn into data. It's not something that you can convey in a profile or just like, real relationships are about interactions and how you treat each other and all of that. Like these details, the flourishes in which people speak, or like, little things that make them laugh or make them embarrassed, or they have a different, what I mean? It's so much more complicated, so much more beautiful as well. But anyway, that idea of dehumanization, it brings me on to catfishing itself. I mean, even the original idea of catfishing has that dehumanizing quality as well. It's like there's someone who's willing to just be predatory in this way and basically exchange, someone else's hurt feelings, exchange those for money or whatever, like catfishing, like someone online will try and con someone else by pretending they're in love with them to get their inheritance or whatever it is that they're looking for. Reverse catfishing, instead of pretending to be the perfect person, it's like performing authenticity, It's like, in a calculated way, showing your more negative parts or something like that. Deliberately underselling yourself online. I guess in the hope of finding something more real is a good thing, but it really just reminds me of goblin mode. To me, it speaks a little bit, this idea of performing authenticity speaks a little bit to the idea of not having standards, of there are no like universal standards you can point to. There are no and I'm not trying to do the thing of turning people into attributes, right? But it's about how you present yourself, and if people are going to use the dating apps, and obviously they are, like, romance is like this fragile behavioral dance that we've inherited through tradition and stories, and this kind of bringing somebody flowers, or maybe that seems performative as well, but because it was always based around people, like, this is how you interact romantically with someone you're interested in, but it's based on people that you're actually spending time with. But speaking of performativity, Sam Altman says that bots are making social media feel fake. As if it wasn't already fake. Like, people just selectively putting out the best part of themselves. Again, it's like this thing of virtualization and almost dehumanization. So, Reddit shareholder Sam Altman had an epiphany on Monday. Bots have made it impossible to determine whether social media posts are really written by humans. Lately, that subreddit, the R Claude Code subreddit, has been so filled with posts from self-proclaimed code users announcing that they moved to Codex that one Reddit user even joked, "Is it possible to switch to Codex without posting a topic on Reddit?" This left Altman wondering how many of those posts were from real humans. So, I mean, Here we go. He's accusing humans of starting to sound like LLMs, even though LLMs were literally invented to mimic human communication. This is where it's so ironic, isn't it? Because you've also got to think, and ChatGPT was trained by Reddit, which kind of explains a lot of it to me, actually, but some of its personality. But the LLMs are supposed to mimic human communication. The LLMs are training on real human communication, such as Reddit, in order to learn how to communicate. And what we're going to see now is that AI will be trained on other AI, not on human speech, but in fact on text that is coming from AI, which is really incredible, But it goes the other way, because Sam Altman also says people are starting to talk like AI. Sam Altman says people are beginning to sound like LLMs. Altman said he had the strangest experience looking at forum posts about OpenAI's coding tool. AI-related social media posts feel very fake in a way it didn't really a couple of years ago. Okay. Those quirks of AI that it's talking about, those little things that ChatGPT will often say, I think if you are interacting with AI a lot, they say that the 6 people you spend the most time with end up shaping a lot of the flourishes of your speech. That's kind of something that I suppose linguists have looked at before. And so it makes me think, if one of the people that you spend your time around is actually not a person, but is an AI, and it has these particular quirks, it only makes sense that you would start to pick up some of them. It only makes sense. And AI is just so smart, it's so useful, that everybody is using it. Many people are using it. So many people are going to pick up these things. So what we're seeing is not only has AI trained off of humans before, AI training off of AI, and now humans learning from AI as well. Humans training off of AI, and obviously humans train off of humans. So we're seeing a fully interconnected kind of system of linguistic development here, which, it might seem like something that should be embarrassing, but I think probably lots of people are going to start to talk a little bit like AI, or it will become kind of not diglossia, but almost like a way of speaking that people can recognize. It's just so interesting to me that there's a full series of interactions there. What did Elon Musk say at a far-right UK rally, and did his remarks break the law? The ex-owner is accused of using dangerous and inflammatory language at a protest organised by Tommy Robinson. Number 10 condemns language used by Musk. That's 10 Downing Street. In other words, the Prime Minister and his team. What did he say? He called for a dissolution of Parliament and a change of government. He also called for radical reform. He said that the government needs to care about the people. Obviously, I don't really expect The Guardian to present this in a neutral manner. I expect them to be rather pessimistic about this. So they talked about free speech, they talked about prosecutions of people for speaking, they talked about the grooming gang phenomenon, which Musk said was his reason for caring, essentially, about Tommy Robinson and about the UK. And wanting to have some influence. But What I'm really interested in is the nature of his influence. Because 3 million people, they say, somewhere between 100,000 and 3 million. Wow, great counting, you know, that's a big fucking error margin. I'm going to presume it's like 1 million, because that seems to be this seems to be an early article, but some of the later articles, they seem to move more towards 1 million, on average, I would say. So, that's a proletarian revolt in waiting. 3 million people. How many police are there in Britain? It's not 3 million, you know. How many people are in the army? It's not 3 million. And we can only presume that this is a small amount of the people who support these ideas of changing the government and having this radical reform. And by the way, you know, I've noticed something on the right wing, which is that they're incorporating a lot of things that would have been considered left-wing principles in the past. And I think that we're actually we're only in the middle of the political sea change that's happening. We've seen a new right form, you know, and I think we're going to see a new left form from the. You've got to admit it, even if you're a left-wing person, it's utter chaos in the UK. There is no consensus on the left about anything at the moment. There's like 6 different left-wing parties. Maybe technically some of them would be more like centrist parties, but when they talk about social issues and when they talk about kind of the big buzzword kind of issues, the issues that get people emotional, like immigration or Palestine, they're very much saying the things that we would maybe associate with the left. But what I want to say, so the right is trying to support, is claiming that it's supporting the proletariat, right? The working class, I should say. And we do see enough people here, for sure, to do a revolution. And it wouldn't be the first revolution in history, by the way. And something that I sort of realized learning about history was that normally when a revolution happens, there are people in the elite who push the pieces of the chess game, you know, who rally support, who Cromwell goes from village to village to village in the British Civil War, the English Civil War, essentially recruiting people from pubs. In the French Revolution, it was people in coffee shops becoming radicalized, you know. And we see here an interaction that's really kind of astonishing between Elon Musk and potentially 3 million people. You see people trying to say that this is just one street and they're arguing that it's 100,000. That's no way accurate. Like, you see the helicopter images. It's insane. It's really, really insane. This is a small portion of the number. But you see Elon Musk, the world's richest man. So arguably the man with the most power. I've heard him say that actually the most powerful man is Vladimir Putin, and the most rich as well. Could be. Definitely could be. But he's up there. Second isn't too bad. but no, we have the richest man in the world talking to about 1 million people, saying that they need to have a government that cares about them. And I happen to agree. I think that the grooming gang is, you know, kind of the most dystopian thing you can imagine. It's Kafka, it's Orwell, it's got this weird sprinkling of something that Huxley might imagine darkly, you know, all the corruption around it, because this was covered up. If you're not from the UK, there were gangs of rapists who whose activities were covered up. They potentially had 100,000 victims, according to one report. With the bloody numbers. But it's at least 10,000. And these were children. And it is enough to radicalize. Look, there are families here. There are so many families at this protest. It's enough to radicalize normal people. The fact that this was actively covered up for years. And so, Musk knows what to say. He knows what to say to push this along, as I said. But something else. See, these are not the Reform Party. Again, if you're not from Britain, this is a rally to do with the cover-up of those crimes and other things, freedom of speech and this kind of thing as well. And it's led by a kind of this guy's been in and out of jail for all kinds of things. Some of it real crime, some of it speech crime. Called Tommy Robinson. And Elon is talking to him. Okay, so sorry if you didn't know that. But Elon, being the most powerful man in the world, he's essentially rallying the proletariat here to do. I don't want to say to do a revolution. That might be too much. But that's a dystopian angle. Certainly a dystopian angle. But the system does need reform, and there is a party called the Reform Party, and they are not in league with Musk. They don't get on very well, really. Anymore. And so what we see in history, which is that there is a revolution, but multiple factions emerge, and these different factions fight amongst themselves at the end. So, I don't know, I could see Farage, the leader of the Reform Party, and the Tommy Robinson, Elon Musk types not getting on so well in the final, once whatever happens next happens. And I'm just presuming that the next thing that happens is the Reform Party wins an election. And we will see what happens. We will see what happens. We will see if they address these people's concerns. We will see if they do the things that Musk is also nudging for here. He's nudging for decreased regulation, which, whilst I happen to kind of agree with him on that, it definitely helps him, the fact that he's asking for this, And I think he potentially knows that he's speaking to the next regime when he says that bureaucracy has to be cut, which, it's kind of a benefit to him as well. 260 billion might not be a lot of money in terms of world economies or a country's finances or something like that. But there is only one individual in the world who is allocating that much capital to things. So for Musk, this is relatively small fry stuff. This is something he's just dipped his fingers into and made this massive splash because he has so much power and so much influence. And there is just something that's so dystopian about that. Because this man's whim is a ripple or a wave along the river of history. Wow, yes, my God. May we live in interesting times. This is Dystopia Now.